Worst grade school shooting in U.S. history, at least 27 dead, 20 children, 7 adults, including the principal.
Behind that movie theater, his name is James Holmes, 24 years old.
Okay, again, these are still pictures from Virginia Tech. Again,
An Army spokesman says 16 victims from that shooting.
The campus is on lockdown at NIU because 2 people have been shot, possibly as
Columbine High in Littleton, Colorado this time on the edge of Denver. It has been a horror. As many as
the Newtown tragedy was a call for action.
With recent events, gun control is becoming a pressing matter to discuss. Tragic public shootings, with the majority of them sadly taking place in schools, are increasing at a frightening rate. In the last 20 years, school shootings averaged to about 23 incidents a decade. But in the past 2 years, from 2010 to now, there have already been 25 incidents of school shootings in just 2 years. If we do not take action now, America may be facing one of the worst periods for school shootings it's ever known. So what is the first solution that comes to mind? Ban guns. It's quick, simple, and logical, with only 7% of Americans actively hunting. But it has its flaws. The biggest one being that the Second Amendment guarantees the right for citizens to bear arms. The Second Amendment makes the solution of banning guns unconstitutional, but it does not prohibit the banning of certain extreme guns, such as fully automatic assault rifles and extended magazines. This situation calls for a much more complex approach, with 5 solutions that are still being debated on today. Let's see which one is the best. Solution 1 is to restrict guns. Possible restrictions include advanced background checks, the banning of extended magazines, banning assault rifles and semi-automatic rifles. Solution 2 is to increase gun rights by allowing administrators to carry a firearm on school grounds, which is currently a weapon-free zone. Solution 3 is to increase police presence at schools. Solution 4 is to decrease the depiction of gun violence in media, such as in TV, video games, and movies. Solution 5 is to increase government spending on mental health and screenings. Let's take a look at each solution closer.
Put a stop to the proliferation of these assault weapons. We need to do something about the high-capacity magazine, also used in the killing at Sandy Hook Elementary School. Better background checks.
In an America with 200 million guns in circulation, an evil mind will find a way to get weapons of mayhem. There is something else that is senseless, though, and that is America's gun laws. There is no rational basis for allowing ordinary Americans to purchase assault rifles.
I don't believe it's going to help one bit. You know, they did that back in the 80s where they banned the high-capacity magazines, the suppressors on rifles, and all those kind of things. That lasted for a couple of years. Didn't make any difference whatsoever.
Solution 1 gets in the gray area of the Second Amendment and is almost an entire debate in itself.
I think that we need to have some kind of security in school. And they need to provide some kind of armed security or unarmed security.
Again, it would depend on the person, their stability as an administrator.
There's a John Wayne movie called The Shootist where he talks to someone about using a weapon, and he says, you know, it's real easy to hit a target, but when somebody's firing back at you, to be able to hit that target is almost impossible because your nerves kick in. And I think that we would see that similar situation. I don't think it's safe for our kids.
Arming teachers or administrators, I'm not opposed to that as long as they go through some kind of training with their local law enforcement, and they also have to wear some kind of way to identify themselves.
The polar opposite of Solution 1, Solution 2 is suggested by the NRA and raises the question of what type of firearm and how mentally stable the administrator is, and if he or she would actually be able to defend the students.
I think that it would be great if we had more police presence in public areas and if we could increase officers in school. However, I don't think that it's going to eliminate anything. We've talked a lot about having the armed guards around presidents, and they've still got shot. So how is having one armed person in a school, or even a dozen armed people, how do we guarantee they're going to be in the right place?
Put armed officers, cost $400,000 to put officers in every school here in Amarillo.
Many of the state police who spoke to me on that day a week ago said that the killer was so heavily armed that they doubted they could have stopped him.
60% of the schools in the United States already have a liaison or a policeman on campus. So does that make a difference? Sure it does. you've got somebody right there.
Solution 3 seems like a solution everyone can agree on, but it poses its own problems. With 13,000 school districts in America, it would cost roughly $1.4 billion each year to have a licensed officer at every school in America.
Violent video games. We have blood-soaked films out there, like American Psycho, Natural Born Killer.
The NRA statement today is sadly and shamefully inadequate, projecting real action against gun violence.
The media and causing these things that are going on in the minds of those who have that warped feeling.
It would definitely be beneficial to our country as a whole if we would decrease the violence that is shown through the media, through video games, through films, through TV. However, I don't think that that's really the answer that we're looking for right now with gun control. I think that's putting it off on something else.
Solution 4 would infringe on the First Amendment if it was made into a law.
The much harder question is how a free society protects itself from a twisted mind. Families, educators, and medical professionals need to be aware of the behaviors that might signal psychotic outbreaks.
But let's be honest, we have to look at the mental health laws. You know, Connecticut had the 5th strictest gun control laws in the country. At the same time, Connecticut was one of only 6 states that didn't have an assisted patient treatment program, which says that if you're showing real signs of being in danger to yourself or in danger to others in your community, the state can temporarily take you under custody and force you to take your medication.
Other measures relating to mental health need to be part of the solution.
It is a mental health issue in my profession now. We have tons of people that are booked into county jails that have mental health issues that need mental health help, but the state is closing down state-run hospitals as we speak, you know, and so the bed space is gone, so where else do you put them?
Massacres, any of that we see has a lot to do with the mental illness.
Solution 5 is the only solution favored by both parties. It can prevent mass shootings as well as common crime. It can improve the quality of life for the potential criminal. It gets to the root of the problem, and it greatly deters the chance of harm towards anyone, including the potential criminal. Mr. President, this issue isn't just about the rights of the Americans, it's about their lives. I want to know that my little brother will be safe as he goes into middle school. I want to know that my mom will be safe as she goes into school to work. And I want to know that I will be safe as I go into college next year. But if a mentally ill person decides to cause a tragedy, they will find a way, no matter what the means. We can't expect kids to be safe or the public to be safe if we haven't taken care of the mentally ill. Thank you.